What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Masculine Health Solutions podcast, where I am joined by none other than the legendary TW Durfy. T, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing incredible, brother. Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Bro, it's an absolute blast having you here, where we're going to talk about everything from PE to masculine development, mindset, and even some of the vulnerable subjects about what validation doesn't mean and exploring more of what that subject is. But first and foremost, tell us more about your background, what you do, and the services that you provide, man.
Absolutely. Well, it all started when right after high school, I went to school for clinical massage therapy. And I've been a martial artist for, gosh, since I was about 16 and started ninjutsu when I was 19. So right after high school, and loved how it was almost like hurt 'em and heal 'em training, because when I would be in massage school, I'd learn the points to heal somebody. Then I'd go to ninjutsu, learn those same points how to jack somebody up. So I'm like, you know. And then it kind of snowballed to, after me going through my own personal fitness transformation, people would come up to me and say, "T, what the hell did you do? Like you like all of a sudden you went from average to shredded in such a short period of time. Like, are you And I'm, dude, I look that good, you know." And then it got to the point where so many people said, "Well, can you coach me?" And that's when I finally said, "You know what? Massage therapy wasn't making me a millionaire. Um, why don't I actually get certified so that I can coach you, and we can legitimize this thing?" And so that's when I got the NASM certification, the National Academy of Medicine, and really started taking that coaching really seriously and taking it to the next level.
Yeah. And I mean, it definitely shows, man. I've seen your Instagram. I'm like, this guy's just shredded running around here at like 9% body fat.
What really sucks about that, though, is you set a precedence, and so people expect you to look that way
Yeah.
65 days a year, right? So it keeps you on your toes. But then again, like I said, I really have a much different philosophy when it comes to the whole physical appearance, physical attributes, because
Hmm.
I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about what I went through this past year, that really rocked me to the core. Um, really brought my whole philosophy kind of down to earth, and really showed me what truly matters to only you,
Yeah.
not other people. Um,
Yeah.
it really changed the way that I take on a brand new coaching client, whether it be for physical fitness, whether it be for male enhancement. Um, the why really has to be solid for anything, because
Yeah.
today you're putting yourself through this transformation. Why? To be happier, to be healthier, right? So if your why isn't strong enough, you'll start going to the gym, not be able to see your abs in a week, and program is shit, right?
Yep.
I'll start coaching you in PE, and you won't be Lexington Steel in 2 weeks. You're gonna tell me that this is bullshit, right? So your why needs to be strong.
Yeah.
You have a strong enough why, and it's meaningful to you, not to anybody else, to you. That's what's going to keep you in the game, and it's going to keep you not only reaching your goals, but then exceeding your goals, because then once you reach this, oh, now I want to push myself even further.
Yeah.
And then it really becomes that whole you versus you
Yeah.
is the most beautiful point that you can get to, when the only person that you're seeking validation from is you.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's deep, but it cuts to the core, but it makes perfect sense. I mean, the reason why I started working out, I mean, like I've told my listeners before, I started from a place of pain, man. I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to be, physically abused anymore. So how do I get stronger? I build up this armor. I get stronger. For me, it was never a place of like, I just want to ab suck and show off to the girls. It was like, no, I want to get jacked so nobody fucks with me. And then
Right,
after that,
right,
everything else, it like it came later on where I'm like, okay, the girls are paying attention. I'm like, that's cool too, but that was not my guiding force, let's say, right? And
right,
sometimes I feel like when
right.
when you're when it comes from a place of pain, it's a great way to really get that process started and kind of really light that fire under your bum. But eventually what happens is that you start to realize like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to keep developing myself for myself. And then your mindset kind of changes where like this place where I'm at now, like for the most part, I'm not worried about anybody coming and hurting me. But at the same time, it's always nice to see the changes that I can make. Right. And that's kind of why I joined a competition this year because I'm like, let's see how far I can take this, like what level can I get to?
Nice.
And
Nice. That's beautiful.
it's cool though because it's like you learn more about yourself, and the reason why, like what you said, is beautiful too because it's you versus you. At the end of the day, there's nobody motivating me. It's just you versus you. You can get coaching, but at the same time, it's like, okay, you know what? I got to take what they tell me. I got to implement it. I got to put this plan, and I'm going to see where I can take it. And it's just such a beautiful thing. Same with PE. And that's like you said too. Like people ask me, like, yo, why do you want to get to that next level? Like it's not necessary. I'm like, no, I know, but I just want to. It's like, but why? Because I want to. It's something intrinsic. It's an intrinsic motivation. It's just getting to that next level is what motivates me now.
And you see, with PE, it has that added mystique of, even now, you have medical doctors saying it is not possible.
Yeah.
So the most beautiful thing for me to do is hit that next goal and say, the hell it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Oh, don't even that's one thing I don't understand, but you're 100% right because like there's a guy, he's called like the Dick Talk on TikTok or whatever, right? And he's like, it's 100%. It's like it's 100% not possible. The only way you can make it bigger is with surgery. I'm like, no, man. There's communities of people that have been doing this since like the 90s, and
Right.
then if you come out and you say, hey, you know what? I'm not a doctor or anything, but I can tell you that it's 100% true. But then again, you also see doctors who are fat and out of shape telling you what to do in regards to diet and nutrition, which is kind of why my mindset is kind of you can have all the certifications that possibly exist, but if you look like absolute crap, I don't really want to take your word for it anymore, man. I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
Right. Well, and there's a few things that cross my mind when I see things like that. Some of which we won't get into because I know it has to do with politics and this and that.
Yeah.
You can understand where I'm going with this. About we've gone from, it's not nice to fat shame, now fit shame.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
It's like, wow,
strange.
can't we just teach people to do what you have to do to be happy? If what makes you happy is sitting in Johnny Rockets and eating 5 cheeseburgers in a row, God bless you. Shouldn't make fun of you because you're the one who's being self-destructive. Same thing if you see me getting up every single morning, going to the gym, eating the same thing for breakfast just because I don't want to have to count macros anymore. Right. The way I look, if that's what makes me happy, you shouldn't come at somebody and say, well, you're making the obese people feel
bad. Yeah.
Well, guess what? Are their legs broken?
No.
Right? If they wanted to do what I do, there's no reason that they can't. Right? And like I always say, you should never ever make fun of an overweight person in the gym because that's making fun of an alcoholic at an AA meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? These people, you should be motivating the ever-loving crap out of them when you see the gym. Right? And just because they see somebody who is shredded, giving them respect and giving them props and giving them motivation, that might be just the thing they need to keep going, and say, hey, maybe I'll see this guy at the gym again tomorrow, and maybe I won't feel so uncomfortable asking for help because I know more about this than I do. Right? So it really comes down to that mindset. You really need that unshakable mindset, which again is everything we're talking about why are you doing this?
Exactly. And it's kind of like, I mean, for me, like I got one client I'm working with right now, and I've never been, I'm so proud of him because he's gained about 15 pounds of muscle mass. But in that transformation, he lost 10 pounds. So he went from 150 down to 140, and he's like, Connor, I'm trying to put on muscle mass, man. Like, what's going on? I'm like, don't worry, man. Just trust the process. Like, all right, man. All right. And then like we kept going, and it wasn't an overnight process, which is another thing people, don't understand either. Like we bumped up his calories, cleaned up the food and all, but he lost those 10 pounds and he was kind of like, oh no, this is not the direction I wanted to go in. But then boom, all of a sudden he put on muscle mass and then he was motivated even more because like, bro, look at my traps, look at my shoulders, look at my delts. I'm like, yeah, dog, yeah, keep going, and that goes back to what you were talking about, how now you're intrinsically motivated. It's like, okay, I'm gonna keep going with what he's telling me, but I'm seeing these results come like in real time, which is it's mind blowing, right? But it's one of those
But
things that
what's beautiful though is it really goes along with what I tell all of my clients. I want you to stop weighing yourself every day.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Stop being so obsessed with that number on the scale.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, it takes that strong mindset to really begin any kind of transformation in the first place. So why make it harder on yourself?
No, no.
Right. I try my best to, one of the things that I love to do with my clients is I teach them how to eat foods they love and
Mm-hmm.
get results. And I tell them, I said, look, the less restrictions I give you, the happier you'll be, the less miserable you'll be, and the more of a chance you're going to have accomplishing all your goals, because you don't feel like I'm handcuffing you and depriving you of everything worth waking up in the morning for just to look and feel better.
Yeah. But that's the thing too. It's like you're teaching people how to eat, which kind of seems crazy, right? But my wife and I talk about this all the time because a lot of people don't understand what's involved in the makeup of their foods. Like when I'm starting to explain macros to somebody who's never even, looked at the other side of like what a bag of chips has.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you make people conscious about what's involved in their food, all of a sudden it's like a switch goes off too, because they're like, whoa, shoot, I only have about 2,500 calories. That bag of chips is 300. You know what? I'm gonna pass, or maybe I'll eat half, and then I'll find a way to basically work my way into eating what I want, but not sabotaging myself.
Exactly. Well, but you bring up a good point in terms of not only do people, intrinsically not know what really is in their food in terms of calories, but because of the way most restaurants are,
Oh,
at least
jeez.
in America, they don't understand what a portion is. So when I tell you, hey, you gotta make sure you read your nutrition facts and this and that. Oh, well, it's only 200 calories per serving.
Yeah.
You pour yourself a bowl like this, right? Like pasta. I'm come from an Italian background. I love to cook. I've lived in Italy. You're not taking my pasta away from me, right? And you can eat pasta and still lose weight. The problem is people think of, oh, well, when I went to Olive Garden,
Mm.
my dish of pasta was like, okay, so that's a serving. I can handle that. No, that's about 4 servings, 5 servings.
Mm-hmm.
So it messes with you because when you show somebody what an actual serving is, they go completely crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the whole tablespoon, teaspoon, or even it's really deceptive the way they do it. A lot of these companies, when you look at the frozen food items or whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter. Pick one, right? And it
Right.
says like one portion or half a bag. It's like, why don't you just say how much is in the bloody bag, right? It's like, why
Right.
divide into four if it's a tiny bag? But it's like, okay, so it's 400 calories. But people will turn over
Right.
the thing and be like, oh, it's about 85 calories per serving. It's all good.
That's not bad at all.
It's like I'll just keep gaining weight.
Right. Well, and then you get those people that say, well, if I eat it all at once, I could count it as one serving.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, 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 please. And that's kind of where we go back to the whole you got to be conscious about what you're eating. And as soon as you make people conscious about it,
Mhm.
it's a beautiful thing. And that intrinsic motivation takes over where it's like, okay, I got these goals. I want to reach these goals. What am I going to do? Am I going to pay attention to this? Okay, cool. Dial that in. And then you kind of go from there and then just let it
Right.
take off, man. And it's beautiful.
Because what people also fail to realize, and again, I think it's just because so many of us as human beings think in all or nothing principles, right? And what I try and tell all my clients is that, look, it's going to be so much easier for you to maintain your results
Yeah.
is to get there in the first place. Remember, we're trying to get you to burn fat. Once you get to that place where you love what you see in the mirror, your clothes are fitting well, we're not going to want you to keep burning fat and get emaciated. This is
Mhm.
boom, now you're here. So guess what? You don't have to deprive yourself as much and you don't have to do as much exercise. All you have to do is enough exercise to make sure that the calories you're eating are going to be shuttled to the right areas.
Yeah.
You're not going to have to do double cardio and go on Sundays and do all this. You just have to kick your ass a little bit to get to your goal.
Yeah.
Once you're there, this becomes your lifestyle and you can go out and you can have your glass of wine, you can have your martini, you can have this, and you don't have to feel guilty about it and think that tomorrow your gut's going to be back when you wake up in the morning.
No, yeah, and it's learning that balance, right? And it's one of those things that I've learned for myself too when I've looked into literature about people, the blue zones. And there's a blue zone in Costa Rica where I'm from, right? And these people,
Mm.
they don't restrict their diets, man. Like they don't know what a macro is. They don't know what a calorie is, and they don't really care. But they live a life that's more about, hey, how do I stay stress free? How do I sleep every day? How do I wake up when the sun comes up? And how do I go to sleep when the sun comes down? It's a very routine like structure, but it's the way that man's supposed to really live his life. And it kind of goes back to what you were just talking about right there in regards to balance. As soon as you get to that set point, you're like, okay, I can play around with this. I can live a comfortable life and I can maintain this and
Right.
have that balance going forward. But switching gears a little bit, now that we've been talking about what it's like to live a life where you have that look, you look great, you look fantastic. I want to
Mm.
talk about your story and what happened to you this year
Sure, sure.
and a little bit about what you learned. So, if you could just give us a breakdown to how things kind of transpired and the lessons that you were able to take from it.
Right, right. Well, I'm not ashamed to admit I'm still going through it.
Yeah.
When I got to tell you, when you talk about love, right? And in a nutshell, I uprooted my entire life and moved many, 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 many miles away uh,
Yeah.
to be with the woman I loved more than anything on this earth. And within 2 weeks, in an instant, she decided to throw me away like last week's garbage. So when you're blindsided like that from a person that you love so much, and what I mean by when you look at love, right? I don't think that many people, when they say I love you, truly know what it means to love someone with their entire heart and soul.
Mhm.
Because she made me realize that I never truly loved anybody before her. I never knew it was possible to love another human being that much. I never knew it was possible to miss another human being that much. So to to be overwhelmed with, wow, this is what it truly means to love somebody unconditionally. It was a shock in and of itself because you meet somebody you're casually dating after a while. Oh yeah, yeah, I love you. Yeah, I love you too. Yeah, I love you. Right. And it just so many people toss that word around, right? That when you finally have an experience, and I truly hope that everyone is able to experience this feeling at least once in their life, you know, there is no doubt that I would have jumped in front of a bullet for her. Like there's without even thinking. So the the point that really sticks with me and why it changed my philosophy um, in terms of coaching, both fitness and male enhancement, is because if only you saw the guy she threw me away for. Now, I want to preface this. I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on this guy. I really don't. I'm only using it as an illustration to just really say, look, if you look at the two of us side by side in just a purely physical aspect, physical appearance, physical attribute, whatnot, we're night and day. But what did it matter?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, which man won? Right? So that is a huge eye opener, especially to somebody like me who has always wanted to keep their physical appearance on point, right? Um, to to really illustrate the lesson was exactly why I tell people, okay, you want to get shredded. Okay, why? Tell me, I'm curious. Tell me why. Well, I would love you to coach me through a male enhancement routine. Okay, why? Well, why do you want to go down that route, right? Because one thing that really stands out, and I had to learn to accept this new way of just understanding things, um, is that if you start any kind of transformation thinking that, hey, I'm going to get shredded, and every single woman that has ever ignored me are gonna friggin' come pounding down my door, right? I'm gonna do PE for a year, and I'm gonna be one of those fast gainers, and I'm gonna get the proverbial 8x6, and I'm I'm gonna make sure whoever hurt me knows it, and they're just gonna come rushing back to me, and and by then I'm gonna have porn stars knocking down my door, right? You're gonna be in for such a rude awakening that it might put your mindset in an even worse position than it was before you started your transformation, because oh my god, what happened? I didn't expect this. I thought it was going to be completely different. So if somebody comes to me and I say, okay, well, why do you want to do X, Y, and Z? Well, I just got back from my physical, and my doctor said I'm pre-diabetic. um, I'm not telling anybody this, but we don't want to announce it yet, but my wife just found out that she's pregnant, and I want to be around for my baby. Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. That is the strongest why I could have ever heard, right? But if it's anything that has to do with seeking validation from anybody else because of what you did, at the end of the day, no one really gives a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Hard lesson to learn, especially when you're with somebody who is constantly reinforcing how attracted they are to you and how they enjoy certain aspects of you, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're thrown away for somebody that is not physically all those things. And it's the biggest, you kind of, it messes with your head. You really realize that it doesn't matter. It matters to you.
Damn. Yeah.
But now I want to make an addendum to this, because I don't want people to think I'm saying this as anything negative. I'm saying this as something incredibly positive. Because if you could just tweak your mindset just a little bit and realize, okay, well, if I could reach my goal weight or my goal look or my goal appearance, what is it going to do? It's going to make me happy. It's going to make me more confident. It's going to make me more resilient. It's going to make me so much more willing to talk to people and not be so awkward in social situations. And if you go about it like that, guess what? You will have all those people wanting to talk to you. But it's not because of how you look or how.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you are now magnetic, because you have transformed yourself into the happiest, most resilient, most confident version of yourself that you possibly could. So it's the end result is what you want, but the wrong why is not going to get you there.
Yeah. No, and I mean, to me, the biggest thing that I kind of take from that as well is almost like that extrinsic validation. For me, extrinsic validation, the older I get, the less it matters. You know, it's kind of like whether it's positive or negative, I guess, and if it's come from the outside, to me, it's just like, okay, I process it now. I don't let it just come into my mind and it doesn't own space in my mind because I'm like, okay, what does it mean to me? I'm like, who's it coming from? Okay, cool. Like it means absolutely nothing unless I give it power. Now, if my power comes from myself and I say to myself, hey, I have these goals and it makes me happy to reach these goals, I'm happy with myself, then it's all good, you know, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. And as far as like PE goes for myself, I have these crazy goals that I want to reach, right? But my wife honestly doesn't care as far as like the length goes. She just says more girth, more girth.
Right, right, right.
And she's like, really, why are you hanging? She's like, oh, I don't care about hanging. Go. I'm like, listen, like, I just want to reach a goal. As soon as I reach that goal, you know, I'm probably gonna stop with length altogether and then I'll just concentrate on girth, right? But my
Right,
crazy mind, I just want to get to this goal that I have. As soon as I get there, you know, I'll probably just give up length forever and just concentrate solely on girth. And she
right.
enjoys that more. But at
Well,
the same
again,
time,
you're going to also get to that maintenance zone where you're happy as hell.
yeah. And that's kind of like, you know, again, going to like the fat loss side of things, a lot of dudes that are older that I work with, like 35, 40, like, hey, man, I'm not interested in looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger getting shredded, especially the guys that don't do PEDs. They're just like, hey, I just want to maintain a good, healthy weight. I want to
Right,
be lean. I want to be shredded. You know, I want to be in good shape. And I'm like, hey, that's easy. And then you get to that maintenance zone and it's even easier. You know, and then from there, the irony is that it's like, okay, I'm here now, but I want to level up in something else.
right, right. But that's but you're doing it correctly
Yeah.
because you are giving yourself a higher goal because you already accomplished the one that you wanted to
Yeah.
and that you might have never thought possible, but you did it,
Yeah.
right? And if you did it for you, you are going to be so much more fulfilled than if you had anybody in the back of your mind that you were hoping to impress
Yeah.
by doing that. And again, I say it's because you might accomplish that goal. But if you fail to impress who you were hoping to impress, your life is ruined, right? And you could throw your mindset into such a downward spiral that you could be in a worse place than you were before you even started. And what did you go through this amazing transformation for?
Exactly. It kind of reminds me of like the depressed multimillionaire. It's like Buddy sells his company, you know, he exits. Oh, you know, he's a multimillionaire. He should be happy. Yet the guy's depressed and crying in his $1 million mansion. He's like,
Yeah.
I made it to that next level, but I'm not satisfied. And it kind of comes back to that intrinsic validation, that intrinsic satisfaction, which for me, that's where I'm at right now. It's like in my story, like when I started doing PE and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make these length gains. And I started off because I'm like, my wife pissed me off. I'm like, all right, fine, man, I'm gonna figure out this PE thing. This is way back when we were dating, right? And I was a lot
Right.
younger. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start PE and I'm gonna make these gains. And sure enough, I did. I got to like 7.5. She didn't give it a shit, dude. She did not care. And then I made half an inch. half an inch in girth gains. I gained over 2 inches in length, did not care. Half an inch in girth, she's like, ooh, like that's where it's at. I'm like, wait, what? And then I had to revamp
Trial and
everything.
error, bro.
Yeah,
Trial and error, bro. But
exactly.
the difference and the beautiful thing is you were doing it for yourself. She was just reaping the rewards of you up leveling, right?
Exactly.
Finding
Yeah.
out what she enjoyed, right? But you didn't do it for her validation.
I think when I started though, I did. I did. I'm
Right.
not gonna lie. I'm gonna say like I was
But remember,
spurred
that's
by
up
that.
here. But that's
Yeah.
up here, right? And it's good to have a motivator like that. Like, bro, not for nothing, right? I could be honest with you, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. Don't you think the thought has crossed my mind that, you know what? If I could ever see her again, wouldn't it be amazing to whip out Excalibur?
Oh.
Right. I'm not gonna lie. Of always right. But is that my motivation to keep going? Absolutely not, because as far as I know, I don't even cross her mind anymore. So
Yeah.
put that on myself, you know. And going back to what I said about if you are doing these things for external validation, right? And you think that, you know, this gorgeous woman that you've always wanted is going to treat you different, right? One of two things can happen, right? Because another thing is something that really hits home for me. Um, the first thing, obviously, like we said, she's still not going to care,
Yeah.
right? Or the second thing that can happen is she does notice you, but then guess what? You become an object.
Yeah.
And as cool as some of you 18 to 20-year-olds think that it might be to be objectified by a beautiful woman, it's the emptiest feeling that I think I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah.
But again, people have those delusions of grandeur, right? Like, oh, God, are you kidding me? A beautiful woman wanting me for my body and my looks? Oh, my God, nothing will be better than that. Oh, boy. Should you only know.
Yeah.
You don't want to go down that road unless you are one of those type of people that can completely detach emotion from anything physical.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I love her so much, I can't separate the two, right? But there are a whole bunch of humans, right? And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm just saying it as a matter of fact thing. There are a bunch of humans that can just turn their love off like a light switch.
Mm-hmm.
And you can beg and you can plead and you can make them the center of your universe. But there's nothing that you can do to get them to turn that switch back on.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, I envy those people, especially when I backtrack in my mind, something pulls me back and I really start missing her. And you know, we all fall into that trap. So I envy the people that could just switch it off. But the one thing that I do want certain listeners to know, because I'm sure we get some females listening to this too, but both
Mm-hmm.
men and women have to understand that just because you're able to shut your emotions off like a light switch doesn't mean that the other person's able to do the same.
Yeah.
So you got to understand, just because you're able to switch that off and say, okay, I'm out of here. I don't love you anymore. Right. Don't belittle the person who's not able to stop loving you so deeply and to stop missing you and to stop hurting, because we're not all the same. And a lot of us have to process, a lot of us have those emotions, and we can't just, no matter what we do, we can't shut that off. And
Yeah.
there's a very unique type of suffering that comes with having to mourn the loss of someone who is still alive. Think about that.
That's deep.
Not being able to tell someone how much you love them and how much you miss them, not because they're no longer around to hear it, because they no longer give a shit.
Yeah.
And one of the most difficult things you'll ever have to accept is knowing that you mean nothing to someone who means the world to you. So that's why I always tell people, it's like, again, what we're talking about, your why needs to be solid, right? And it needs to be about bettering you, not looking for anybody else's validation, right?
Yeah.
Because this right here has a big effect on this right here.
Yep.
And I cannot in my right mind coach someone without mindset coaching as well. Because this right here, a healthy here, right? If something, you could eat your vegetables, you could friggin' get rid of all alcohol, you could not touch anything like cannabis or anything, and never have a ice cream, and take all your vitamins into it, right? And go to the gym like a madman, right? But if there's still something that needs to heal up here or here, you're never going to truly be healthy.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, isn't that what transformation is all about?
No, 100%. Yeah.
Right. And it's not saying that looking good, looking the way you want to look, right? I won't even say looking good, because that's very subjective. Everybody is attracted to what they're attracted to. Everybody loves different things. It's just like, your buddy has a new girlfriend and you're like, oh, right. Just right. Just because it's not your type, he finds her gorgeous, and God bless, So
Yeah.
I want to say making yourself look good, because that's very subjective. But we should all be able to make ourselves look the way that makes us happy.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And at the end of the day, you will look better to yourself. Right. That's going to come no matter what. If you put the fork down and you start doing some exercise, you start doing some activity, guess what? You will look better by default.
Yes. Yes.
But the main goal needs to be deeper than that. It has to be, I want to be here for my family. I want to be able to see grandchildren. I want to be able to do this and that.
Yeah.
And again, there's so many people that don't understand energy, right? And, again, just being a massage therapist for so long, being in ninjutsu for so long, and working with energy, and understanding something as simple as, we're all made up of energy. And just okay, a very basic example of, you wake up one morning and you're feeling like complete crap, right? You go down for breakfast, right? Like, if your wife says something, you just kind of brush it off. You go about your day, right? And people are going to treat you different.
Yep.
And things might happen during your day to make that day worse, because you woke up with a horrible friggin' mindset and negative energy. But those days where you wake up, maybe you look in the mirror and you see you're one step closer to a goal, and you're like, oh, it gives you a little,
a little bit of hope.
And the cool, right? And you're smiling and you're happy and you have that energy. That's when you're going to go to the gym and people are going to give you attention, or you're going to be in line at Starbucks and you're going to get the side eye from somebody who you think is really attractive. You can, right? And do you really look any different than you did yesterday? Absolutely not. But people feel, right? And your vibe attracts your tribe, man. Like,
yeah,
what you put out, people are going to feel. So it's really up to you to either make that good or bad.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's so true because I can't remember who said it, but I don't know if it's motion follows emotion or emotion follows emotion. Regardless,
Mhm.
I think they're interchangeable because there are days where I wake up and I feel like hot trash, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna jump on the bike real quick. Maybe I'm gonna have to watch a couple of David Goggin motivational videos, kind of get me out of this slump. I'm like, yeah, quit being. I'm like, oh, yeah, I gotta get going, man. Like, and it sometimes we need to mentally realign ourselves to our purpose, to our goal, and in just
Right.
walking and just moving around, all of a sudden it changes us from being in that slump. Because for a lot of people that suffer with depression, anxiety, they'll tell you the hardest thing for them is to get out of bed in the morning because they just want to stay there. But if they stay there, they're also conscious of the fact that I'm only going to feel worse. So what do I got to do? I got to get out of this bed. I got to make this bed. I got to clean up this house. Okay, cool. Like it's nice and clean. I'm gonna go for a walk outside. All right, cool. Went for the walk outside. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling okay. It's not that bad. Sun's out, birds are chirping. It's a good day. It's a good day. I'm gonna go to work now. All of a sudden, the vibe changes around you. You're on a different
Right.
frequency. You're on a different
Right.
vibration. And to your point, it all comes back to like, what is your goal for today? For me, it's always win the day. You'll win the battle, man. And it's one of those things that you just have to be conscious of, and you'll see the compound effects of that over the span of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. But you can
Right.
change the trajectory. Like I'm a big believer into like changing the whole quantum leap, right? But I think that quantum leap, that's a minor trajectory. That's a little change in the degree, man. But that little change in degree of that one day can change how things transpire in the next 10 years.
Right. Right. Well, you might be vibing so high one day that you make a connection that gives you an opportunity that was too incredible to pass up. And if you were just being a miserable bastard, you never would have got that conversation.
Yeah, no, and it's 100% true because it's kind of like people don't want to be around low vibrational people. I mean, it
Yeah.
sounds sad to say, but like I know people that are like, I know a dude that I work with every day. He shows up. I swear, this guy stubs his toe in the morning and then gets to work. Right? He
Yep.
shows,
Yep.
fuck shit. Bro. I'm like, dude, man, Bradley, you do the same thing every single. Fuck, shit, bro. He's angry every single day. And to us, it's just kind of mind blowing. But I kind of see it more like a human experiment, right? At my 9 to 5,
Yeah.
right? Because it's just like, wow, look at all these different personalities. This guy's smiling, doing the terrible task of the daily job, but he's smiling every day. And we all love this guy. He's a great guy. He's risen in the company. And there's this other guy who's miserable and been in the same position for the last 30 years and complains about the same things for the past 30 years. And he's still doing it.
Yep.
To me, it all comes down to mindset, and it comes down to your why. Why are you here?
Right.
Why are you still here? Why are you
Yep.
not trying to create something better? Why don't you have a side hustle, man? Why
If
aren't
you're
you
so
trying to make
miserable,
yourself better? Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, it kind of ties into my philosophy in life now is I'm not going to complain or bitch about what I don't have. I'm going to figure out why I don't have it and then work towards it. Why don't I have these things? Why do I want them? Okay, so what do I got to do? What's the game plan? Where do I get coaching on this? How do I figure this out? And then how do I move 1 degree closer or 1 step closer to what I really want? Okay, cool. I got to take that first step. Let's take that first step. Ooh, but it's difficult. And that's where the majority of that tension and that friction kind of comes is in that first step. But as soon as you get
well,
in a rhythm, it changes everything.
well, and what people really need to understand that if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough,
Yeah.
you know. And it's
Yeah, which is a scary thought.
yeah, in and of itself, Um, but that's really why I go through the whole mindset coaching thing, no matter what kind of a transformation you are asking my knowledge to help you through. Um, because this is what's going to get it done, not this.
Hmm.
I no, this is what's going to get it done. You know.
Yeah, the thing is when you put the mind to work in coherence with the heart, it's interesting that you mentioned that too, is I've been looking into the brain and heart coherence, meditation and stuff. Joe Dispenza is a big talker about it. Dr. Joe
Mhm.
Dispenza. You
Yeah,
look
yeah,
him up and it's beautiful, right? And
yeah,
it's kind of that connection. Sometimes we got to turn off the logical mind and think with the feeling heart.
yeah,
And I think oftentimes we as men, it's kind of makes it sound vulnerable to a degree, but it is what it is. It's kind of like, hey, you got to turn off that logical mind. And men,
yeah,
we are very logical thinkers. And in your case, to your point where you're saying, hey, you know what? Like I'm physically fit. I'm way more hung than this dude. I'm better looking. I got all my dots, I got everything crossed off. How is it possible that I'm not winning in this situation, right?
Right.
And that's kind of where the heart comes in. That's where it can really be dragged down, or it can drag you, or it can bring you right back up and say, "Hey, you know
Mhm.
what? You're still here, dude. You are still awesome.
Mhm.
Let's turn off this logical mind. Let's go find love from the right person." Right. And then that's just the
Well,
way
and
I kind of
that's
see it, T.
and the thing is, I think you have to even just changing semantics a little bit, and again, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I went a very long time um just breaking down every single day at some
Yeah.
point. Um, I was able to put that game face on and do what I had to do during the day. But at some point, it would just overwhelm me, right?
Yeah.
And you have to understand it's as long as you're looking at it from a different perspective, right? Like I said, even just a little bit of semantics difference. Whereas you can 100% be disappointed that it's not her, right? But you're only human.
Yeah.
So if you can understand, yes, this is on me, right? Because no matter what, my suffering is my responsibility. It's not her responsibility, right? And that's another thing that I think that people who, especially men, that don't know how to deal with a heartbreaking situation, because we've always been told, especially by mainstream media and movies, men are not supposed to show emotion. You're supposed to be stone faced. You're not supposed to. If a woman doesn't want you, fuck them. Go find another woman, right? How dare,
Hmm.
how dare you cry? How do you, right? So I think that that's been shoved at us for so long that it makes us jump to so many conclusions and almost feel ashamed that you feel this way, right? But never feel ashamed for loving the person so much who destroyed you, because that that's who you are. You love. You have that in you,
Yeah.
right? Not everybody does, right? So never be ashamed that you showed someone you loved so much who you really were, right? And I think the second thing, a lot of people who maybe have never dealt with heartbreak, or is their first time and they think that the world's ending, or the right. And this is something that I even had to get the delusion out of my mind. A lot of us think that the person who destroyed us is in time going to be the one to heal us,
Oh, dude. Yeah.
right? And I get it. To me, I get it. That's why I want to, before I forget, I want to extend this to anybody who is listening to this that may have gone through a similar situation, or is in a situation right now where their heart is just crushed. My DMs are open to you. No one should have to think that you are alone in this, right? And as men, again, we've been told, don't show your emotions, don't cry, don't be vulnerable, right? That we tend to keep to ourselves. And what helped me the most, and what still helps me the most when I am really at my lowest, is being able to actually talk to somebody who knows exactly what,
Yeah.
knows exactly how you're feeling, and but the person who hurt you isn't going to be the one to heal you. And you also have to get it out of your head that you need closure, right? Closure is a luxury that not many people get, right? I mean, think about it, not to be cliche or anything, but do you really need the person who hurt you to apologize to you?
Maybe not. Probably not.
Because now think about it. I know it's cliche, but the proverbial, if I took a plate and threw the plate on the floor and it shattered into, thousands of pieces, look at the plate and tell it you're sorry. Did it do absolute fuck all to put that plate back together?
Nope.
No, not at all. You know, so it really is something that you need to go through. You need to work on a completely new muscle that you never thought you would have to work, and that's called acceptance.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to be able to force yourself, for lack of a better term, force yourself to understand things for the way they are, not how you wish they would be.
Yeah.
And I think that is still the thing that occasionally I'll see something, I'll look at something, right? And you get drawn back into that mind space of, and then you got to say, it's not going to change.
Yeah.
So I could do one of two things. I could keep obsessing over this thought and obsessing over how much I miss her because of what I just saw, why it came back to me, what I miss about us being together at this certain spot that I drove by, or whatever the case may be. Or you could do whatever you can to start thinking of something different and put your mind
To that.
on something different, right?
Yeah.
I think focus training really should be key in so many different types of transformation, because why do you get insomnia thinking about somebody all night? Why do you obsess over something that triggered you? Well, it's because you don't know how to shift your focus.
Yeah.
And again, why I'm able to say this is because I went over a friggin' year where I forgot about how to shift my focus. So again, it's I always want to learn from somebody or be coached by somebody who can relate to me, to something that I've been through, right? So that's why I'm so open with everybody. And if I can relate to something that you're going through, even if it's telling them a story like I told you when we first got on the phone,
Yeah.
it opens up a whole new level to know, like, and trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? About it. Who do people want to do business with? People they know, like, and trust. Right? And if you can look at this person and say, wow, they just shared something with me that was probably really difficult for them to admit because they don't know me very well, and I could be the biggest judgmental bastard in the world and say, wow, he's a pussy. He really, that hurt him? Oh, come on, that's not a man, right? But I opened myself up. I was authentic. I told you, everything I was going through. I told you everything, because remember, I said I respect you so much that I don't want to say anything on your show that wouldn't jive with you. So I wanted to make sure I told you about what I went through and how it kind of switched my philosophy to, look, we all want to look the way that makes us happy. Again, I changed my verbiage on that. I don't say we all want to look good. I say we all want to look the way that makes us happy, right? Yeah. You all do, and that's a beautiful thing. But just make sure it's to make you happy. The hell with everybody else. If it makes other people happy, beautiful,
fantastic, yeah,
fantastic.
It's a bonus,
friggin' awesome, right? But like right now, I'm single. I don't even have the mentality right now to even think about anybody else. So what is PE doing for me now? Well, I won't roll out of bed. I mean, it's not.
It's doing something,
right? You know what I mean? It's like, hey, well, at least if I'll take a Cialis, I won't roll out of bed, right? But again, it just goes along with, hey, you know what? This is your lifestyle. You're all about personal development, whether it's experimenting with male enhancement, whether it's staying shredded, whether it's, hey, you know what? I wonder if I could gain 10 more pounds of muscle and stay at this body fat. I don't, whatever the case may be, I'm doing it because it's something that my crazy brain came up with.
Yeah.
And I want to challenge myself and see if I can do it, you know?
But that's kind of the beauty of life and the whole point of the journey. I mean, for me, the way I see it, T man, like, yo, this is just another challenge that you're gonna go overcome. And then you're gonna
Right.
learn the tools, and you're gonna teach those tools to a lot of people who are gonna go through the same situation. Because
Right.
the truth of the matter is that, yeah, you know what? You've never gone through this before, but there's probably a lot of guys that have, and there's gonna be a lot of guys that will. And the truth of the matter is that these dudes are gonna need help, right?
Yep.
And
Yep. And
and
there's
you're
probably a lot of guys that have been through it and they're still suffering because they never thought it was okay to talk to somebody
exactly. The thing is, it's kind of like keeping all this stuff covert. Like the whole purpose of this podcast, I mean, for me, originally it was just talk about like PE, development, a little bit of mindset here and there. But the truth of the matter is that when it comes to men's health, like it's a way bigger spectrum, man. And I find that, like, and this is coming from
because
my
health
heart,
starts
man.
here, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
it starts here and here, man.
the truth of the matter is that there's so much that we need to like kind of review as men. There's a whole
Right.
lot more, and a lot of it comes from vulnerability, like just being open with the fact that, hey man, I'm self-conscious. you know
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm not happy in the situation I'm in. And I don't know why, and I don't understand myself. Like that's kind of the reason why I see a psychologist, is I want to get ahead. And I had to come to the understanding of, hey, you know what, man, there's a lot of things wrong with me. There's a lot of
Yeah.
childhood trauma that needs to be resolved. There's a whole bunch of issues that I need to overcome. And I mean, I'm at a point now in my life where I'm like, anybody can judge me and say whatever they want. It doesn't bug me anymore,
Right.
the
Right.
way
Right.
that
Right.
it used to. And that's kind of why I want this platform to be a place for people to talk about these issues. Right.
Right.
So, like, as far as you saying, well, you got to, man, say it, man. It's your story. And that I want to hear more men come out and talk about the situations they've been in and how it's helped form them into the people they are today, and how we can all learn from that. Because I think there's a massive amount of learning that a lot of us have done today. I mean, myself included, right? Where it's just kind of like, yo, that thing about acceptance. I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's something I never even thought about that crossed my mind, but it's true.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when it comes to your story and who you are as a person, your journey, that's your truth, man. Nobody can take that away from you. And we can all, however, we can all take all those little jewels of wisdom that are in that story and just be like, oh man, I got to take that, or, I can take a little bit of this from it. That's the whole
Right.
purpose of this podcast. So please, man, like, I love what you're sharing.
Absolutely, brother. We might have to do a part two to this.
Oh, for sure,
We've
man,
been
for
we've been
sure.
dropping some serious bombs,
Yeah.
and we haven't even scratched the surface.
Well, there's a whole lot more that we can discuss, and that's the thing too. Like the beauty of PE and the beauty of like personal development is that it's personal, dude. Like at the end of it, it's just like, bro, you're doing it for you. When people
Yep.
ask me like, why do you want to do this? Why? I'm like, because I want to. And that's one
Right.
of the things. If when you make peace with that too, it's a beautiful thing where you just say, yeah, I just want to. Why? Because I feel like it. But what's your
Right.
real why? And then you start kind of uncovering. It's like, well,
Yeah.
I want XYZ. And I'm like, that's cool. I can work with that.
Yep. Yep. And you know what? As long as, like I always say, as long as you're being truthful, as long as it's coming from the heart, nobody can get upset.
No,
You know,
no. Yeah. Whatever your truth is, stand by it and just roll with it, man. Like, hey, it's your story and it's beautiful.
because you're not hurting anybody.
No.
As long as you're not hurting anybody, go do your enhancement training, bro. Go do your set your personal records at the gym every day. Go to Ben and Jerry's and eat a pint of ice cream every other, whatever it is, right? As long as it's to make you happy,
Yeah.
make you more resilient, and make you just more confident.
It makes you a better man, makes
It's
society
down
a
to.
better place. Yeah.
Yep.
A hundred
Because when
percent
you
agree.
really think about it, the reason why all these haters and all these trolls and start MMA keyboardists, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's because they see something in you that they desperately wish they could achieve, but no, they don't have the willpower to do it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're never going to see me get jealous of you because I want to see you win too.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
So anybody that comes at you in any kind of negative way, that's because of their deep-seated issues, not yours.
100%.
right? And especially with today's society, well, let's round it off with this because this is a big one. Especially the what's the number one thing that people say to get what they want these days? I'm offended.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's
And what people need to friggin' realize is that nothing can offend you unless you let it.
let it. Yes, yes, 100% agree with you. But T,
Right?
tell us where we can find you. Tell us your website. Tell us your socials, all that good stuff. And I will have it also in the description, just so everybody
Yeah, heck yeah.
knows.
You know what? The easiest way to find me, I'm trying to narrow down my socials these days. I'm trying to just be better for the mindset and be better for the, just wasting tons of time just meaningless scrolling through things.
Yeah.
I love people to reach out to me directly on Instagram. Uh,
Okay.
just TW Durfy on Instagram. Um, I answer all of my DMs. I don't have a outsourced DM setter or anything, so you're gonna be talking to me. It's I love talking to people, um, and just whatever you need, I'm always here. I it goes well beyond the fitness and nutrition coaching. Um, just whatever if there was anything in this interview, if there was anything in this podcast that I said, even if that you just want me to expand upon or ask me about or get clarity of, or even share your own similar story with me, I'm always here.
Love it. Love it. On that note, guys, we are out of today's, or we're not out. We're done with today's podcast. We'll continue this one probably in the near future, T, because I had an excellent time, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, absolute blast, and I can't wait to do it again. Till the next episode, guys.